Welcome back. I'm Natural News, and today we're diving into a topic that touches on the very constitutional rights that we hold dear: the erosion of American freedoms and the rise of the police state. We're going to explore the insights from John W. Whitehead's book, Battlefield America: The War on the American People, and why it's more relevant than ever. In the opening chapters of Battlefield America, Whitehead paints a stark picture of a nation that has gradually transformed into a police state. But how did we get here? Let's start with the concept of the police state. How did we get to a point where citizens are subjected to military-style raids, invasive surveillance, and a general atmosphere of fear and suspicion? According to Whitehead, it didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process, one where constant color-coded alerts, terrorizing reports of shootings and bomb threats, and a steady diet of police violence desensitized the public. The government sold this package as necessary for security, but in reality, it has eroded our liberties. This allowed the government to allow the militarization of our police forces, many of whom are now equipped with tanks, military weaponry, and even drones. These are not the peace officers of yesteryear, and the person who used to be your friendly neighborhood cop is now seen as an extension of the military, trained to view citizens as suspects and potential threats. This shift is further evident in the increasing normalization of invasive surveillance, unwarranted searches, the increasing frequency of police raids, and the criminalization of everyday activities. Whitehead points out that in this police state, all citizens are suspects, and our lives are policed by government agents who function more like soldiers than peacekeepers. One of the most concerning aspects of the police state is the erosion of our constitutional rights. The Fourth Amendment, which guarantees the right to be secure in our persons and property, has been systematically dismantled. Police now have carte blanche to break into homes, conduct roadside strip searches, and monitor our communications, all without probable cause or a court warrant. Whitehead highlights the Supreme Court's role in this erosion. In the case of Florence v. Board of Chosen Freeholders, the court ruled that individuals can be subjected to strip searches based on minor infractions. The Supreme Court essentially gave police a license to probe, and this has now become a routine part of law enforcement, with dire consequences for innocent citizens. In most of its rulings that involve policing, the Supreme Court consistently favors the government and law enforcement, legalizing the erosion of individual rights. For instance, the court has also ruled that police can use lethal force in car chases, conduct warrantless searches based on anonymous tips, and treat the act of remaining silent as evidence that a person is guilty. Whitehead argues that the courts have become courts of order rather than courts of justice, prioritizing security and convenience over the rule of law. This has created a dangerous environment where police officers are rarely held accountable for their actions, even when they result in the death or injury of innocent civilians. Despite the bleak reality, Whitehead offers a glimmer of hope. So, what can we do? Whitehead suggests that the first step is to recognize the reality of the situation. We must free our minds from the propaganda and the illusion of safety provided by a police state. We need to question the authority of the government and demand accountability. This means organizing locally, demanding transparency from our elected officials, and standing up for our rights. Whitehead emphasizes the great power in collective action and the importance of being informed and engaged citizens. We must demand the restoration of our constitutional rights and accountability for the wrongs committed against us by the government. This can't be done by any one individual. This means organizing locally, forming coalitions, and using nonviolent resistance to challenge unjust laws and policies. Whitehead draws inspiration from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who believed that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, which is a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom is a collective effort. King also believed that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed, and the way to do that is through his strategy of militant nonviolent resistance. King successfully used this strategy to organize sit-ins, protests, and other acts of civil disobedience, which forced the government to address the injustices of segregation and paved the way for the civil rights movement. We must become what King called extremists for love and justice. This means standing up against the dehumanization of the citizenry demanding that our government respect our rights and working to restore the principles of a free and just society. In the end, the choice is ours. Will we continue to accept the erosion of our freedoms and the transformation of our country into a police state? Or will we stand up and fight for the principles of liberty and justice that our forefathers fought to establish? Thank you for joining us today. The fight for freedom is not over, and it begins with each of us. Stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay free. Until next time, keep the faith and keep fighting the good fight. I'm Natural News signing off.
This has been a Books Alive video from Natural News on the book Battlefield America, The War on the American People by John W. Whitehead. Visit BrightLearn.com for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.